Judges. Chapter 3. And these are the nations that Jehovah left in order that through them he might test Israel, that is, all who had not known all the battles of Canaan. But only so that the generations of the children of Israel might learn to know war, at least those who had not previously known the battles. The 5 lords of the Philistines and all the Canaanites and the Sidonians and the Hivites who dwelt on Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal-hermon to the entrance of Hamath. And they were for the testing of Israel, to know whether they would listen to the commandments of Jehovah, which he commanded their fathers through Moses. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. And they took their daughters as their wives and gave their own daughters to their sons, and they served their gods. And the children of Israel did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah, and they forgot Jehovah their God and served the Baals and the Asherahs. Therefore the anger of Jehovah burned against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Cushan-Rishathaim the king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served Cushan-Rishathaim 8 years. Then the children of Israel cried out to Jehovah, and Jehovah raised up a Savior for the children of Israel, who saved them, that is, Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the Spirit of Jehovah came upon him, and he judged Israel. And he went out to battle, and Jehovah delivered Cushan-Rishathaim the king of Aram into his hand, and his hand prevailed over Cushan-Rishathaim. And the land had rest 40 years. And Othniel the son of Kenaz died. Then the children of Israel again did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah. And Jehovah strengthened Eglon the king of Moab against Israel because they did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah. And he gathered the children of Ammon and Amalek to himself and went and struck Israel, and they took possession of the city of palms. And the children of Israel served Eglon the king of Moab 18 years. Then the children of Israel cried out to Jehovah, and Jehovah raised up a Savior for them, that is, Ehud the son of Gera, the Benjaminite, a left-handed man. Now the children of Israel sent tribute to Eglon the king of Moab by him. And Ehud made himself a dagger that had 2 edges, a cubit long. And he strapped it to his right thigh under his clothes. And he presented the tribute to Eglon the king of Moab. Now Eglon was a very fat man. And when he finished presenting the tribute, he sent away the people who carried the tribute. But he himself returned from the sculptured idols at Gilgal and said, I have a secret message for you, O king. And he said, Hush. And all those who attended to him went out from him. And when Ehud came to him, he was sitting alone in his cool upper room. And Ehud said, I have a message from God for you. And he rose up from his seat. And Ehud put his left hand into his garment and took the dagger from his right thigh, and he drove it into his belly. And the hilt also went in, after the blade, and the fat closed over the blade, for he did not draw the dagger from his belly. And he went out into the courtyard. Then Ehud went out onto the porch, and he closed the doors of the upper room on Eglon and locked them. And when he had gone out, Eglon's servants came and saw that the doors of the upper room were locked, and they said, He must be relieving himself in the cool chamber. And they waited until they were ashamed, but still he was not opening the doors of the upper room. Then they took the key and opened them. And there was their lord, fallen to the ground dead. And Ehud escaped while they delayed, and he passed by the sculptured idols and escaped to Sirah. And when he arrived, he blew the horn in the hill country of Ephraim, and the children of Israel came down with him from the hill country, and he was before them. And he said to them, Follow closely after me, for Jehovah has delivered your enemies the Moabites into your hand. And they went down after him and took the fords of the Jordan against the Moabites, and they let no man cross over. And they struck about 10,000 Moabites at that time, all stout and all valiant men, and no man escaped. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel. And the land had rest 80 years. And after him there was Shamgar the son of Anath, who struck 600 Philistines with an ox goad, and he also saved Israel. Judges. Chapter 4. Then the children of Israel again did that which was evil in the sight of Jehovah after Ehud died. And Jehovah sold them into the hand of Jabin the king of Canaan, who reigned in Hazor. And the captain of his army was Sisera, who dwelt at Harosheth Hagoyim. And the children of Israel cried out to Jehovah, for he had 900 iron chariots, and he oppressed the children of Israel severely 20 years. Now Deborah was a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth. She judged Israel at that time. And she would sit under the palm of Deborah, between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the children of Israel went up to her for judgment. And she sent word and called to Barak the son of Abinoam from Kadesh, Naphtali, and said to him, Jehovah the God of Israel, has indeed commanded, Go and deploy your forces on Mount Tabor, and take with you 10,000 men from the children of Naphtali and from the children of Zebulun. And I will draw out Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his throng, toward you at the river Kishon, and I will deliver him into your hand. And Barak said to her, If you will go with me, I will go, but if you do not go with me, I will not go. And she said, I will surely go with you. However, there will be no glory for you on the journey you are taking, for Jehovah will sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah rose up and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and 10,000 men went up behind him, and Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite had separated himself from the Canaanites, from the children of Hobab the father-in-law of Moses. And he pitched his tent at the terebinth in Zananim, which is near Kadesh. And they told Sisera that Barak the son of Abinoam went up to Mount Tabor. And Sisera called all his chariots 900 iron chariots and all the people who were with him from Harosheth Hagoyim to the river Kishon. And Deborah said to Barak, Rise up, for this is the day when Jehovah will deliver Sisera into your hand. Jehovah has indeed gone out before you. So Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men after him. And Jehovah threw Sisera and all his chariots and all his army into confusion with the edge of the sword before Barak, and Sisera got down from his chariot and fled on foot. But Barak pursued after the chariots and the army as far as Harosheth Hagoyim. And all the army of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword, not even one was left. Meanwhile, Sisera had fled on foot to the tent of Jael the wife of Heber the Kenite, for there had been peace between Jabin the king of Hazor and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and she said to him, Turn here, my lord, turn here to me, do not be afraid. So he turned to her into her tent, and she covered him with a rug. And he said to her, Give me please a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a skin of milk and gave him a drink, then she covered him. And he said to her, Stand at the entrance of the tent, and if anyone comes and asks you, saying, Is there a man here? You shall say, No. Then Jael the wife of Heber took a tent peg and put a hammer in her hand and went quietly to him. And she drove the peg into his temple, and it pierced through to the ground, for he was sound asleep and exhausted. And he died. And Barak was at that moment pursuing Sisera when Jael came out to meet him. And she said to him, Come, and I will show you the man you are seeking. And he went with her, and there was Sisera, fallen dead with the peg in his temple. So on that day God subdued Jabin the king of Canaan before the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel became heavier and heavier upon Jabin the king of Canaan until they destroyed Jabin the king of Canaan. Judges. Chapter 5. Then Deborah and Barak the son of Abinoam sang on that day, saying, That the leaders took the lead in Israel, that the people have willingly offered themselves, bless Jehovah. Hear, O kings, give ear, O princes. I will sing, to Jehovah. I will sing praise to Jehovah the God of Israel. O Jehovah, when you went forth from Seir, when you marched from the field of Edom, the earth trembled, the heavens also dripped, indeed the clouds dripped water. The mountains quaked at the presence of Jehovah, Sinai there, at the presence of Jehovah the God of Israel. In the days of Shamgar the son of Anath, in the days of Jael, the highways were not used, and travelers went on the roundabout paths. The villages ceased to act, they ceased in Israel, until I, Deborah, rose up, until I rose up as a mother in Israel. They chose new gods, then there was war in their gates. Was a shield or a spear seen among 40,000 in Israel? My heart is with the commanders of Israel, those who offered themselves willingly among the people. Bless Jehovah. Tell of it, you who ride on white donkeys, you who sit on rich carpets, and you who go upon the way. Louder than the voice of those who distribute water among the watering places, there they recount the righteous deeds of Jehovah, his righteous acts toward his villages in Israel. Then the people of Jehovah went down to the gates. Awake! Awake, Deborah! Awake! Awake, speak forth a song! Arise, Barak, and lead captive your captives, son of Abinoam. Then a remnant of the nobles went down, the people of Jehovah went down with me against the mighty. From Ephraim, those who took root in Amalek, following you, Benjamin, with your peoples, from Machir commanders came down, and from Zebulun those who wielded the staff of him who marshals. And the princes in Issachar were with Deborah, and Issachar was true to Barak, into the valley they were sent behind him. Among the divisions of Reuben there were great resolutions in heart. Why did you sit among the sheepfolds listening to the pipings for the flocks? In the divisions of Reuben there were great searchings of heart. Gilead stayed across the Jordan. And as for Dan, why did he remain with the ships? Asher sat at the shore of the sea and stayed at his landings. Zebulun was a people that despised their own lives even unto death, and Naphtali, on the heights of the field. The kings came, they fought. At that time the kings of Canaan fought in Tanakh by the waters of Megiddo, they took no gain of silver. From heaven the stars fought, from their courses they fought with Sisera. The river Kishon swept them away, the ancient river, the river Kishon. March on, O my soul, with strength. At that time the horse hooves stamped with the prancing of their mighty steeds. Curse Meroz, says the angel of Jehovah, bitterly curse its inhabitants. For they did not come to the aid of Jehovah against the mighty. Blessed among women shall Jael be, the wife of Heber the Kenite, blessed among the women in the tent shall she be. He asked for water, she gave him milk. In a bowl for nobles she presented him with cream. She put her hand to the tent peg, and her right hand to the workman's hammer, then she struck Sisera, she smashed his head, indeed she shattered and pierced his temples. At her feet he bowed, he fell, he lay down. At her feet he bowed, he fell. Where he bowed, there he fell, destroyed. Through the window one looks forth and cries shrilly, the mother of Sisera, through the lattice, why is his chariot so long in coming? Why do the tracks of his chariots delay? The wisest of her ladies answer her, and she herself returns an answer to herself. Have they not found and divided the spoil? A girl, 2 girls, to each mighty man. The spoil of dyed garments to Sisera, the spoil of embroidered, dyed garments, a dyed embroidery, 2 embroideries, for the neck of the spoiler. May all your enemies so perish, O Jehovah. But may those who love him be like the sun when it rises in its might. And the land had rest 40 years.